How are we doing, guys? I wanted to talk to you about something that happened at the beginning of May. I was getting on a flight back from Amsterdam and I got tagged on a photograph on Facebook from someone that manages one of the apartments buildings in Wakefield. And she tagged, "Your flat's on fire," and a photo of like firemen dragging crap out the front of the flat. And my heart like sank, because I know the building, I know the people live there, I know that, you know, I know that on the penthouse floor they were moved, they just exchanged that day. I was like, the thought of fire in that building is horrendous. And this is on the back of, this is just after the Grenfell disaster, where all those people died and they still don't know what happened, like with regards to how many people died and how many people were trapped in the buildings, etc. I was listening to something on the radio this morning about correlations between different fires and people who are managing buildings, and how things could be done differently. And the article on the radio was about one up in Glasgow back in 1905 versus the one at Grenfell Tower in Kensington this year. And it made me think, I was on the way home, it made me think about what happened with the fire at the flat. So I'm sat on the plane, can't use my phone because I'm sat at the front and the air stewardess is watching me straight in the face, you know. So I'm there sat for 2.5 hours figuring out what the heck's going on, and I get back and I find out that the whole ground floor of, well, the ground floor area of one of the bedrooms, the master bedroom, has burnt through to the subfloor. And the report from the fire brigade was that it was a underfloor heating failure. I was like, that's strange, because that underfloor heating is pretty good. You know, I've lived there a few years as well. I lived in that flat, and it was always quite, well, it was never a fire risk for me anyway, and I used it, you know what I mean? I used it every day because I worked from home, I used to work there. So that was the Sunday. Monday was a bank holiday, and on the Sunday night I phoned Zurich Insurance and I said, what do I need to do? My tenant's had to move out, he's moved in with his girlfriend, everyone's safe, the fire brigade got there in time, there's some damage to his stuff and there's some damage to the building, blah blah blah. So I said, don't do anything. If you don't need an emergency plumber or emergency electrician, then it's fine, don't bother. We'll sort it out on Tuesday. So my agent met the loss adjuster at the flat, and they went through all the bits and bats, and he took a series of photographs. Now in this first photograph here, you may just see a pile of rubble outside the flat. I'll come back to that in a minute. This is the photograph of the bedroom with the piles of stuff. So obviously it's shock horror, you know. It's devastating for me, because I never spoke about it online. I never spoke about it to anybody really, apart from me and Helen and my family, my close family. So I'm looking at the photographs, and I'm speaking to the agent on the phone, and the agent is saying, you know, the tenant's all right. He just wants his, you know, he wants you to stump up for the dry cleaning of his clothes, which is fine, fair enough. But he's also wanting to claim a bed. And I went, okay, £500 for a bed, that's not a problem. And my agent said, no, it's a £5,000 bed or a £4,000 bed. And I was like, huh? Hang on, something's not right here. So then I checked my insurance policy, and my insurance policy covers me for 2.5 million, £3 million of building insurance, fabric of the building failure, and it also covers me for £10,000 of contents, and the contents is my contents. If any of my stuff got broken, if that was my £4 bed, it would have been compensated for. However, the tenant didn't have contents insurance. And in the rental document, in the lease he signed, it strongly suggests that he gets his own contents insurance because it is not covered by the landlord's insurance himself. Flash forward a few weeks, and the tenant is still going at my agent trying to claim for this bed and for his stuff. He subsequently moved out and his tenancy came to an end. I had the contractors go in, it repaired all the work. I didn't reinstate the underfloor heating, and I put normal electric radiators in. I left the underfloor heating in the rest of the place, just not the bedroom and the hallway where all the damage was. So going back to this photo, as you can see, there's a white panel leaning against the wall. So I asked the guys that were working here at the house to go down to the flat, collect all the rubble from outside the flat and bring it here and dump it in the paddock, right? So then he gets here, I'm sifting through all the stuff and it stinks and it smells of burning. And I find the piece of underfloor heating, the actual underfloor heating electric plate, that failed. And I found that big white panel that was on that video, that photo, was a dry whiteboard, and it had suspicious marks on the corner. I'd go show you, but it's outside, it's raining, and I don't want to go outside. It's out there somewhere. And it had suspicious burn marks on one corner, as if someone had left a dry whiteboard, you know the metal ones that you drive on the wall for offices. Someone left that underneath the bed. It obviously caused to reflect all the heat back down into the floor. It cooked the wiring melted, the wiring failed, it started to burn the floor and smoldered. And apparently when the tenant came home from work or wherever he was going, he saw a little bit of smoke, he moved his bed out the way. As soon as oxygen hit it, it ignited, and then blah blah blah, panic ensues. You know, as a human, I really feel for the guy, and he's lost some of his possessions and stuff, but you don't have a £4 bed and don't have contents insurance, especially when you're expressly stated in the tenancy agreement. Subsequently, what I've done is I've added a clause to my tenancy agreement for any new tenants coming in to stipulate that they're not to leave anything on the floor, and if my old tenant tries to pursue it, I have all the stuff here that that I believe, and other engineers that believe, and other people I've spoken to believe caused the fire. So if you're a landlord, a small time one, or you know, just have one place that you rent out, check your building contents insurance and check your tenancy agreement to make sure that you're covered. And if you're a tenant in an apartment that you rent and you don't have contents insurance, please, especially if you've got a £4 bed, I don't even know where you get a £4 bed from, especially if you have a £4 bed, get contents insurance. Just, you know, because fire is bad, man. That scared the hell out of me. Anyway, that's it. Thought I'd get this on record. Right, peace out. Don't forget to love each other. Bye. Did I ever tell you that I burnt down my neighbour's shed with a firework? That ruined everyone's day.